then touch it again to turn the record off.
I run to Montana and back in the past week.
Nice.
And retrieving a rare electric tractor.
If I can't make one myself.
Okay, welcome to the July 14th, 2020 meeting of the Seattle Electric Vehicle Association. I will turn it over to Jay to get us started.
Thank you, Grace. Thanks again for doing the legwork. It's good to see, well, 14, but truly 13 people in the room, including that cat in the Mardi Gras hat. Chad Schwitter's hiding behind his cool shades. Hi, Chad. Thanks for joining us. I'll ask now if there are any presentations or good of the order announcements that people would like to get onto the agenda. I see that Kevin is raising his hand, but not for the aforementioned purpose. Okay. Yes, Grace.
Grace is raising her hand, and I will share some Tesla information when it is a good time.
Okay. Well, it is a good time with Tesla if you've got a strong stomach for the buying and selling of stocks. I always sell too early and buy too late, but it's a crazy run it's been on, huh?
So,
yes, sir.
I'd like to know if there could be some time to talk about the Plug in America, Drive America events. I'd like to put one up. I've got a location and want to make sure I do it right and get a fair crowd.
Oh, good. Please do. That's probably the most time. Well, we've got two other items that I guess will be timelier than that. So I'll ask you. One is that we just had the virtual Greenwood car show, which became a cruise. Anybody online participate in that?
I was going to, but didn't happen.
All right. Yeah, unfortunate because SEVA's many times been the largest car club in attendance, but driving in a line behind a whole bunch of antique gas guzzlers isn't quite as appealing as just standing in the sun and showing off your EV. But we did, I believe the board did consent to send a donation commensurate with our typical registration fee of $400, correct, to their charity of choice? Was that correct, Grace?
Yeah, I think that was the number, yes.
Okay.
Our treasurer should be taking care of that.
Yes, well, our treasurer is not here again tonight, but he has taken care of some things. I confirmed that the P.O. Box was paid in current on May 20th. Stay with your Amazon smiling. Those little donations continue to roll in. The last deposit was $13.59, all fully automated, doesn't cost you anything extra on Amazon purchases. We currently have $18,887.79 in savings, and that's savings one. Savings account number two, $5,697, and a paltry $207 in the checking account, and no transactions to report in the past 6 months, other than incoming deposits. And one thing Brian's having trouble figuring out is matching the incoming PayPal dues payments with who the dues paying members are. So I've got to figure that out. Still have to file our taxes and the annual Secretary of State report. Brian is off gallivanting in rural Oregon somewhere right now, as he loves to do in his 27 kilowatt hour Kia Soul. So power to him on that. So let's hear about the virtual EV awareness, I'm sorry, National Drive Electric Week events. Phil Skoog is not here. He's been bird dogging the pseudo car shows at the Triple X. He's keen on doing such a thing. But I don't know that he's formally signed it up as a Drive Electric Week event. So tell us about it, please, Mr. True.
Okay, well, I live, like I said, in Everett, and there's a fairly decent street with a church parking lot facing the street, and so I have permission for one of those days yet. I don't have an exact date, but my concern, as I've read through the different lines, is the insurance and who. $1 million insurance is kind of common for holding an event, and I'm just wondering how one goes through the process of doing that. Do you do it through your association? Do you just sign up for it? I haven't got an answer back yet to see if the host will make sure everything is covered for that event. So how do members do it?
We do get coverage through the EAA, and it's fairly easy to turn it on. I can't recite exactly what.
There's an email. We have to email
Hey.
somebody. It might be different now, but I think I can dig up something and send it around. But you have to email them, and then you have to they will put you on the insurance for that event and that event only.
Okay.
Right. It doesn't cost you anything, us anything.
So what's the difference between the EEA and Plug-in America?
Totally separate organizations.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it just complicates things.
Okay.
Hey, Jay,
Yeah.
this is Ron Freund. I have to convey some bad news to you guys. The EA has, in the April 2nd timeframe, dropped its liability insurance. There's no more insurance coverage available. See what you can get out of Plug-in America. Otherwise, feel free to go get your own, because somebody is, don't get me started, somebody made a very bad decision as far as I'm concerned. So no events are going to be possible with our support for liability insurance. That's used to be a value add, and well, what the hell, you guys wisely separated a while ago. That's all I can say at this point.
Thank you for that update, Ron. Yeah, we had been trying to get directors and officers coverage through the EAA policy for a while, because that's a major concern of getting anybody to sign on as a board member or director who has significant assets at risk. Okay, that's another item to research. Good to see you here, Mr. Rudman.
Oh,
Thanks for showing up.
Jay, I'd just like to suggest that we definitely research that getting the insurance that would provide liability for events as well as officers insurance, and have a proposal by the next meeting, so by August. Something to vote on with an amount so that we can appropriate the funds for it. That will give us enough time to make sure it's in place before Drive Electric Week events.
Okay, very good. And
Wise move, Grace.
through work now, I have.
Make a quick comment.
Go ahead, Steve.
Jay, let me make
Or
a
Ron.
quick comment. Grace, that's a wise move, going to secure your own. Interestingly enough, the EAA board still has directors and officers insurance in place for its board members, and I'm not sure if it extends to chapter officers or not. The best thing to do is to contact ISU Lovering, go to the chapter handbook and follow through on that. Talk to either Bob Watkins or Marla Watkins. They're the ones who run that brokerage service. But Grace, your suggestion is a very good one.
Yeah, I believe that D&O coverage did not extend to the chapters, but they may be able to provide a policy to us directly. I also now know a very resourceful insurance broker through the business here who does crazy things like insure antique converted electric vehicles for use by inexperienced public renters. So they may be able to offer something.
Jay, this is Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
It's like the company that we used for D&O insurance for the Tesla Club was K&K Insurance Group. I can send you those. I can send you their information if you want.
You speak in past tense?
Yeah, well, because we had that for Pacific Northwest, and we're looking into getting a different policy for Puget Sound.
All right.
But that's who we used for PNW.
Okay. Well, people keep trickling in. Good to see you, Jeff Finn and Charlie Sy and Rich Redman. So we went over the financial report. We talked about the Greenwood non-event. Got a good possibility of a Drive Electric Week event for Everett coming up. Volunteer to manage that. Went over the loss of our EAA insurance and need to get a concrete plan and quote in place to replace that and hopefully improve upon it by the August meeting. And I could go into a little bit of an update on what's been happening at EV Works, unless somebody else has a
Jay,
new
before
update.
you start that,
Yeah.
ask if Mr. True has any more details about the event that he's planning to do in Everett.
Yes.
Insurance was his first concern, but assuming we get the insurance figured out, then what do you envision? How many people, have room for how many cars? How are we getting the public there? That kind of stuff.
Are you there? Mr. True?
Yep.
Unmute helps. Just initial contact and initial confirmation last, I think, Tuesday from the pastor of the church. It has to go through their board, and their secretary would get back to me, and it being summer, that hasn't happened yet. The nice thing is that the church parking lot backs up to a fairly busy arterial. I think it's technically a state highway. And so providing some on-site banners hopefully would take place about a week before. And then the other advertising would be through social media. So I participate in a number of environmental organizations up in the north end here, and I think it probably reach a fair number of people. But I would think the location is really going to be the best benefit because of its high exposure. And if I can get a banner or two out a week ahead of time, if that's allowed, I think that'll be pretty cool. Plus, if just in my own neighborhood now in the last year, we now have a Tesla, a Bolt, and a Leaf just right within walking distance. And then there's a couple of people I work with, since I work at a fairly large high school, that are also owners. So I think I've got some people to bring in.
That sounds terrific. How about how many people would you like to come and join you there?
Once I find out how they want to space things, we also have to, I think, pay attention to what the requirements are and what our status is with regard to COVID-19. So I think our events now have to be in the range of like 50 people or 100 people outdoors. So it's something to pay attention to.
Well, we also will have to discuss whether we are willing to allow people to get into our cars.
Right.
And I can say that for car dealers, they are required to sanitize the car between every customer.
Yeah.
And so is that something that our members would be willing to do in order to allow people to get in a car and see what it's like?
Right. Well, what's the thought too of inviting car dealers?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
We usually do that to our events. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if any of them will be willing to come at this point because there's so many restrictions.
Yeah, and Puget Sound Energy and Tacoma Power did a lot of the heavy lifting in recent years, getting the dealers to show up, and they've gone completely underground as far as these events. I certainly haven't heard a peep out of them. Have you, Grace?
Nope, not at all.
All right. So I wouldn't expect it to happen, but we still do have the September 12th event that has not been canceled in Stillicum. That was one of the largest, and Dick Murray hangs his hat on it. He hasn't announced a cancellation or definite continuance of it, and he's running for lieutenant governor right now. So he's always a busy guy, but I don't know how that will impact it. But keep that penciled on your calendar, since we have basically all of downtown Stillicum available. It's friendly to social distancing, and there's a nice sea breeze too.
Yes. I used to run from my home to Stillicum and back when I was in high school. It's a nice area, and my sister still lives down there too.
Excellent.
So I had a question about whether or not you have been to the Plug-in America's Drive Electric Week website, because there's a lot of resources there, and it also will keep you up to date on what Plug-in America is thinking about doing with respect to Drive Electric Week. I've seen some things that indicate, because there's a lot of state-by-state restrictions, that they're working on some online types of Drive Electric events. Not as exciting as being there, but yeah. So it's driveelectricweek.org, I think, if you haven't been there.
It's a good resource, yes. Okay. Teresa, you said you had a bit of an update, did you? Other than insurance?
So yeah, we have started doing our monthly charger chats again, but we're moving them out to areas where they're in phase 3, so that we can actually have the gatherings of 50 or less. So our next one will be at the new Tumwater Superchargers, and that'll be August 1st from 12 to 2. So it's like, and then the next one, we're going to try to do Leavenworth if they enter phase 2 or phase 3 come September. So, but that's pretty much all we're doing right at the moment. And we'll be doing another Tesla trivia night coming up the end of the month. And I'll get information sent out for that, because we have a max of 20 people we can do on that trivia night. And it's all history of Tesla. So, and there's been a lot of things going on lately. So, so I may have to update some of my quiz questions.
Okay.
But yeah.
These are primarily networking events and learn more about your Tesla.
Yep.
Any legislative initiatives, goals, pending regs to worry about?
I haven't heard anything. I have my quarterly call with Tesla tomorrow, and I can give you updates at the next meeting.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. I see one of our racing celebrities has been silently lurking. Mr. Sy, how is it like to have all the hubbub died down from your Ford Camaro, I mean Mustang project?
Well, actually, I haven't been working on it for a couple months now. You know, once we got it running, I pretty much shifted my focus to working on my own Z3.
Okay, back on it. Nice.
Yeah.
What are you doing with it?
Well, I'm replacing the battery pack with a Nissan Leaf pack from a 2017 Leaf 30 kilowatt hour pack. And I had my motor controller upgraded from it's a PM 100, 100 kilowatt motor controller. I upgraded it to a, well, it basically can handle 150 kilowatts now. So 50% increase in power.
Okay.
So I'm getting, and then I'm basically repackaging all my contactors and such into a better arrangement. So I'm relaying out all the components in the front of my car.
Wow.
What are you doing for BMS?
It's Manzanita Micro, you know, Rich Redmond's products.
Right. I'd love to see a write-up or a little video on how to use it on leaf packs. I've come into a secondhand Redmond BMS.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, I basically had to buy new harnesses, and I'll just be wiring them onto the Leaf battery cells, just like they were wired up to my other pack.
Okay. Thanks.
Side note, guys, have you been over to Off-Road Solar, which is one of my Facebook short sites? There's plenty of pictures of me wiring an awful lot of Leaf modules into a Toyota pickup truck. And so if you need any, I ran 3 modules or 4 modules into one regulator cell. That's a lot of amp. It's like 240 amp hours per cell or per channel. Anyways, there's plenty of hands-on shots of me from, I think it was 2015 or 14 or 15 when I built that system. So.
And it's still going strong?
I blew the leads off the 8-inch motor on the way over to the shop the other day, so I've got to put a 9-inch. Oh, tough. I've got to update by 50%.
Okay, well, good to hear the BMS can take it. All right. We had a question about leaf pack upgrades. Many of you probably know that that is one of our businesses here at EV Works. And we, in the past month, put another 2015 on the road with a 40 kilowatt hour pack. It was strictly a desired range upgrade. You know, basically a newbie owner who was at her limit even without a winter commute and use of any heat at all. So she went from a car that was not adequate for her to one that's more than adequate. And in testing with that low mileage 40 kilowatt hour pack, not only did the dash display work perfectly, but it was showing 168 miles of range most of the mornings when we woke it up. So she was pleased as punch.
I would like to do that, if not put a 60 in mine.
Yeah.
We have some cash flow issues, but.
And they are very hard to come across. Auction values have not fallen like I would have expected during COVID. And maybe people are pulling the trigger on their dream projects, but a good half a dozen 18 or newer Leafs go through the auctions each week, and the battery packs just don't show up in the scrapyard interchange. So I'm going 6 to 8 weeks between pack acquisitions, and the price has been going up, not down. And then the vast majority of our interest is from 2011 and 2012 Leaf owners, and that is still a work in process. Supposedly there are 7 different firmware versions, and there's 2 different hardware versions depending on whether it had the cold weather package or not. So our demonstrator car, which has over 153,000 miles on the clock, now with a 40 kilowatt hour battery, it'll only display 24 kilowatt hours worth of range, and all the rest is inside the Turtle. The Turtle doesn't actually come on, but I've driven over 50 miles with very low battery warning showing.
Right. I've got a 2011, so I would be in that guinea pig pool.
Yeah.
I would love to I'd like to have 200 miles. And I'm also willing, now that I've had it for so long, I can write off the trunk or the back seat if I can get myself a 200 mile range.
Well, we're in talks with a New Zealand supplier to maybe start using their equipment, but we haven't given up on our friends in Quebec yet, who are quite distracted by their Tesla projects. They turned a 2-wheel drive Model S into a all-wheel drive Model S and have done a bunch of other crazy hacks, which is a lot sexier than 2011 Leafs. Plus, they didn't sell the earliest Leafs in Quebec. So they partnered with us on a prototype, and now they're partnered with a group in Norway, remotely trying to debug 2011 Leafs. So that makes it real interesting. We're also in the midst of our second ProMaster van, where we put Tesla Model 3 battery packs and drivetrains under Ram ProMasters. And this one is a refrigerated van for a food bank in Seattle. it's due to be on the road by the second week of September, so I hope to have significant updates on it next month. We're also forging ahead with putting a Leaf drivetrain under a Volkswagen van again. First, we did an AC51 drive in a bay window bus, and that is delivering groceries every day for Town and Country markets. We also have 2 Ford Transit Connect electrics delivering groceries every day. And in order to support that van, we had to dig up some old Azure Dynamic software, resurrect a Windows XP computer, and get it ready to talk to that van. And I've got a spare battery coming this way out of a collision salvage car because it used fairly rare SAFT lithium ion cells.
Hey, are you interested in the AC55 from Azure?
I don't have need of one. And
I want to get rid of it. The price is correct.
Okay. Well, I need to pay you a fresh visit because I practically drive past Rich's place every day. And Rich has more of an effect from a distance than he knows. Hello, Brian, we see you. He just agreed to look at my Grumman van and figure out why it wasn't starting. And next time I went to clean it up and to get it ready for the long tow to Kingston, it started up and ran and has been working since. Maybe it's the dry weather.
Magic hands, magic hands.
Magic hands, yeah.
I was just going to say that I might be interested in a couple of additional UMOC controllers if the price is reasonable. So as for motors, I don't know how many of those I need, but
I had a downsizing last summer, and they didn't go anywhere. And I would rather give them to somebody who has some use for them besides the local junk collector that uses them as $500 worth of copper.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd like to give them to Jay for some kind of pre-down payment for future work on a large pack and a small lead. And so I'm trying to trading stuff. Anybody from the club that needs this thing, absolutely. Come on over and get it. Bring some healthy young boys or a good strong bag.
And somebody from the club might have better luck because unfortunately I am now subject to adult supervision. So my projects are very disciplined, yes. Okay. Any news on the Mountaineers projects?
Mountaineers?
Yeah. Mountaineers were building a, do I spill the beans if I mention a electric snowmobile? You're up, Rick.
Well,
we
haven't made any progress on any of those tacks. We did get our snowcat put back together a few weeks ago, running on the ICE engine. The Mountaineers are in extreme financial stress right now, and so all of our projects, even though the various lodges logically have their own funds, we have been told that they may be absorbed by the Mountaineers themselves just to keep things afloat. So we've been under a pretty strict limited expenditures mode until things get back on their feet after COVID. So there's been no funding to try to explore either the electric snowmobile or ideas of electrifying the snowcat.
Okay, what lodge are you with?
What we're Meany Lodge up at Stampede Pass.
Yeah, I've been there. I used to be a major at the Snoqualmie Lodge decades and decades ago.
Yeah, you noted. Rick, there's an interesting picture. Are you towing with your Tesla?
Yes. So that's my Tesla Model X towing a 4-place ATV trailer fully loaded.
All right.
You know,
and I tow that up to the Stampede Lodge, Stampede Pass up to the Meany Lodge most weekends while we've been doing work up there.
You got a charger up there?
Yes. Well, I have a 220 outlet that I can use with my portable charger.
Cool.
Plug share.
Hey, are we done with the primary meeting and but down to BS, or should I shut up?
We have no BS here, but you may introduce a new agenda item.
Okay, well, I'm sitting here at my desk. I realize I can pick up the phone, and there's an awful lot on my desk. The rest of Seattle Electric Vehicle Club would probably get an absolute kick out of. Shall I do some show and tell?
Without hearing objection, we grant 5 minutes of show and tell.
Well, yeah, just start doing that when you guys are tired of it. All right. Let's see if I can do this. We all know what that is, right? Jay?
Okay, I see a leaf module.
That's a leaf module. That's a GPS. That's a Pixhawk 4 RC radio controller, drone controller. That's the radio. That's the remote control.
A flying leaf module.
Well, in this case, it's a very handy 6.8 volt power supply. There's the square wave. There's this, I just shut this thing off a minute ago, but that's the square wave coming out of the, coming frozen on the scope. So I'm working on an electric drone. Let's see. I'm working on both a man-sized electric drone, and I'm working on a, what I call a land drone. I'll put this back here so we can see a little bit more sanely. And the land drone is going to have either a chair or a set of solar panels on it. I'm going to drive it around with one of these, which is a first-person viewer set of goggles. So you put this on, and you can see through various cameras I've got over here in other boxes, and you can drive your electric vehicle around the buildings here at Manzanita without actually seeing what you're doing. Everything comes down the wire. Everything, my drive is was it 5.8 gigahertz color TV setup that they use for flying, for racing drones. So I'm playing with smaller electric vehicles at the moment.
Well, that's fun, and I can think of 2 offhand and probably a number more of capable beta customers who would like to do that to their Electrac lawn tractors.
Well, with this GPS setup and computer here, flight computer, I can literally set up a flight path. And so technically, with a little practice, we could probably get a lawnmower to mow a lawn remotely without leaving the air conditioning or without putting your drink down.
That appeals to a certain subset of the population.
Those of you with no lawn and
yeah. Well, I intended to be like Rick and do a crazy EV road trip this past week. We were going to tow an Electrac from Bozeman, Montana back to here with a Model S. And it went into the shop 2 weeks prior to the trip for a touchscreen replacement and did not get out in time. So we resorted to burning gas with my minivan, but brought back another Electrac with the snowblower and the push blade and lots of cool accessories to displace another gas burning on machine.
what are you going to do with that? AC 31, or do you have a bigger drive?
They've got permanent magnet deck motors and series drive motors that work nicely with a modern controller upgrade. The one I picked up still had a functioning toaster, banks of resistors.
Yeah, 40% of your power disappears. You put a bunch of Tesla modules in it, who cares?
Yeah, well, this, I'm hoping to fill it with salvage leaf modules. We've got, you know, a good stream of heavily used leaf modules coming through the shop, and you're never going to put a 30% state of health module back into a car, but a tractor that needs ballast to make up for all the lead that it lost and has plenty of space to fit it in could be a good application.
Yep. Our snowmobile is using surplus Gen 2s. I did a Puget Sound Energy project, and we had a overabundance of Gen 2s that were sold at 70%, and I never could get more than, yeah, Rich Rudman, heavy charger bastard, could never get more than 45% out of them. So they were sold a bill of goods.
Did they buy them from BigBattery.com?
I think so.
Because for the good of the order, I have personally visited their warehouse, and they, like Battery Hookup on the East Coast, swung a deal with Nissan Corporate to buy all the takeout packs.
Yep.
The warranty replacement and voluntary, $5,000 battery swap customers. So just about none of these were better than 80% state of charge, many of them worse. And when I visited pre-COVID, they did not even have the ability to measure the state of health of those packs. I was a good neighbor and set them up with the Wolftronics Leaf Pack Sniffer, and next thing you know, they start offering recertified packs along with Phoenix Power, because Phoenix has not managed to build their Tesla-style leaf replacement pack. So ask a lot of questions if you buy something.
Yeah, what this guy said is he got them for like $25 a module or less. He got like a pallet of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave him the bad news that, boy, there wasn't a whole lot of capacity. So he connected me up with a guy in California that sold them to him. And this guy laughed, well, you don't know how to charge the batteries. I go, really? Rich Rudman doesn't know how to charge a Leaf battery? Okay, could you please educate me? They were taking them down to 2 volts and taking them up to 4.4 volts.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
No swelling there.
Well, I proved you can make them swell.
Mm-hmm.
One or two of the cells started rolling off on me, and I didn't keep a good enough eye on it. And I trickle charged it all day. And at 4.4, that was, the good ones won't roll away, but the ones that are already kind of giving you weird end of charge signals,
mm-hmm.
I walked by and went, oh, it was doing one of these things, right?
Ready for takeoff.
And yeah, that required a complete scram of the entire manzanita while I ripped it apart and put the cells outside the building, and then went, I don't think I'm going to recommend these batteries or their supplier for anybody trying to do a 2, 3, or 4 year package. So then our esteemed recent leader, Stephen Johnson, managed to find me and my client 16 very healthy Tesla modules. And the project went forward with that. They never quite got it, deployed before COVID shut it down. And I haven't heard from my contact in probably 90 days. Nice guy, I need to call him up, he's a good friend. But they basically, the Puget Sound Energy people, unless you're the core of the business, everybody's been laid off or put on furlough. They
Can you say anything about the nature of the project?
Pardon?
Can you say anything about the project?
Roughly stored energy. That the concept is the power company owns this 2 kilowatt-hour block that sits under your desk. You use it once or twice a year when, obviously in North Kitsap when the power goes out. So they were trying to build these blocks that would be user ready. And I'm going, trying to keep any pack on charge at a high state of charge ready to go for literally years on end presents its own engineering difficulties.
Yeah.
Because keeping these guys right up against 4.4 in my world, 4.15, which is I think what you're using, Jay. Are you using 4.15 as the top of charge on your Leaf modules?
We haven't built any salvage Leaf projects yet. We're doing everything just OEM. Right,
which is 4.1.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I needed somebody to say, yes, Rich, that's the number we're using.
Yeah, that's spec.
It looks correct when you're doing charge cycles. I may not have the latest information in the planet, but my test systems usually come awful close by experience. So.
All right.
Anybody else got some hands-on stuff to talk about?
I don't see any hands raised. Well, I'll call you out. Corey, any news about Rad Power Bikes? It sounds like things have been going gangbusters over there.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. We had launch of a new bike recently, the Rad Mission, which is more of an entry-level price point. So starting price of $9.99 introductory for what you would kind of use as a kind of a college student commuter bike, or maybe an apartment dweller, or someone who's looking to just kind of go around the city and run errands. And so that was pretty exciting last month. Other than that, we kind of at the start of COVID took a look at everything and tried to be as cautious as we could be, just with the uncertainty ahead. And we're kind of astonished to find that the entire bike industry, e-bikes included, has just experienced a huge lift as a result of people trying to find alternatives to taking public transportation and just kind of solving that low cost, socially distance approved transportation solution, as well as cycling being a recommended form of exercise during the pandemic by the CDC. So yeah, we've had huge triple-digit growth months year over year for the last 2 months, with signs of that continuing. So we're basically super lucky to be working from home and just kind of business as usual as much as we can be.
Hey Corey, how many watts is that bike? How much assist?
The new one is a 500 watt.
500
So just, yeah, the rest of our bikes are 750 standard class 2 pedal assist plus throttle. And then for the entry level Rad Mission is 500 watts.
Yeah, I'm shooting for 20,000.
Yeah. Mine, I puffed a lipo pouch and appropriately discarded it in Chris and Charlie's backyard with a power supply. And so now mine's down to 15 horsepower from 18.
What was 18 horse?
What's that?
What was 18 horsepower?
My moped.
Oh, moped. Yeah, not a pedal bike. That's a lot on a pedal bike.
It has pedals.
I was up on Green Mountain with a 200cc gas burner, and I'm kind of green at dirt biking, but I get places a lot of people don't. And there was a team going uphill with electric assist mountain bikes, and they said it's all the power they need, and they were only talking 350 to 400 watts. And I'm just kind of going, that's hardly enough to get my middle-aged body up a hill. But they had yeah. But they had
I have this conversation with my mountain biking buddies all the time, is that, like, you know, dirt bike motocross, the fun of the adrenaline happens uphill, right? Yeah. And with the e-bikes and the emerging e-mountain bike space, that's not really the allure. The allure is kind of supplementing human power. And so 250 watts through especially a mid-drive, where you can actually use the bicycle's 500% gearing as a form of transmission for the electric motor and torque. Essentially what it would allow me to do is, like, if I'm a person who rides mountain bikes twice a week, every weekend on 10 to 25 mile rides with butt power, add 250 watts of assist, all I'm doing is climbing up a fire road, just a gravel road at a, you know, pretty much fixed or slightly varying incline, going 5 miles an hour, you know, piddling up a hill for an hour, and then you are bombing down, getting the adrenaline fix on the downhill single track for maybe 15 to 30 minutes, right? And so if you add just a really small supplementary motor, I'm not outputting 250 watts from my body. So if you more than double the human output, you can essentially, you know, ride at the same level that you would be if you're riding a standard pedal bike for 3-4 times as long. You can get, you know, you can go out 2 to 3 times as far, or you can go, you can cover way more ground in the same amount of time. And you can enjoy more of the downhill while still putting in roughly the same amount of energy output. Just by having that supplement on the uphill, you can focus your human body energy going down the hill.
Right.
I was talking to a user who lives on Queen Anne, and I said, well, with full throttle, you must be able to just, you know, go right up it. And they said, no, you still have to pedal. And I went, really? But,
yeah.
Bike's brand new. I thought on full throttle, you'd be able to just have the bike take you up Queen Anne.
Yeah, for sure. I used to live up right on the top of Queen Anne Avenue North on Comstock and Lee, kind of. And there are hills in Queen Anne that are steep enough to where you'll be kind of power limited to, the bike will be doing 500 to 750 watts of power, and you'll have to pedal to make it up. And you'll maintain about 12 miles an hour just on that steepest uphill section. But what I would do is if I wanted to just cruise home on just throttle, I would just go up Gilman. And on an e-bike, sure, it is kind of going out of your way to take a less steep route, but you're not pedaling. So what's another 5 minutes on your 20-minute commute? And plus it's nice out. So
should be possible to have the bike take you back up Queen Anne.
You may have to modify your route if you want to do it without pedaling. But yeah, you'll be able to get up the hill. You just may have to modify your route to choose a less steep than Queen Anne Avenue North. I think is like, what is that, like an 18% grade or 15% grade? It's 18, one of the steepest hills. 18, yeah, it's one of the steepest hills you'll find in Seattle. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Have you done? Okay, Corey, have you done any trials bike level electric bike work? You know what a trials bike is?
I'm well aware. Yeah. No, I looked into those chassis, and I think for me the turnoff was I could spend $5,000 on like a project bike, and then I would add my goodies dusted on top of that.
Start with a $5,000 bike and put another $5,000 on it. Yeah.
Right.
Remember, I've got a $50 tote note with probably $5,000 worth of batteries, electronics, BMS, and controller on it. It's like, you ever going to sell that? By the way, some of you may remember the mini bike from hell, Jay.
Yes, I've ridden it.
Oh, you have? I keep forgetting that. It lives. It's got water-cooled motor and controller, and the controller and the motor are integrated, and it all fits in a coffee can.
Rich, are you still building Jegs Junior Dragster kits?
We have an open order for them. We've had great difficulty getting copper, getting material. We're trying to do a block build of 12 units because we have other customers waiting. Frankly, COVID has been one of the best business decisions that's ever come my way. We're busier than we've been in the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, good to hear.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of holes to fill in, and I got to climb back up on the horsey. And I'm trying to do it with this drone work. A lot of new radio controlled stuff, a lot of modern software and technology, and some of the old stuff. And I'm trying to make the drone kit based on our brushless drives. Right now they're a brushed drive, old school Permag, and he has the chassis already figured out. And I'm trying to put modern remote control stuff on, as well as, like I said, GPS flight mission control patterns on it. So the product weighs about 500 pounds. You do not want to have the land drone fire up when you're behind it. I cleaned one side of the shop out with it once because I turned the main breaker on before the 12-volt logic. Lesson to designers, don't do that. So the problem with a DC drive, if you put power on them, they go. They don't need the micro there to do them. So if you power them up and you forgot to turn off a gate or you forgot to open a relay, once you close the breaker, it's a runaway situation. Nobody got hurt, but it scared. I haven't had a runaway in my shop in decades. So little lesson about, come on, get your safety gear figured out, get your software, get your procedure, follow your pre-flight, just like you're in an airplane. Check off this, check off that. Yes, 12's up. Yes, micro's up. Yes, safeties are on. Main contactor is off. Engage DC contactor. Step back, engage the contactor, run your throttles up, get the hell out of the way. So I intend to drive this thing around the parking lot and hunt my neighbors.
I know you have a very special arrangement with the neighbors of that little industrial park. Well, Andrea, you've been very quiet. Anything happening?
Only that I lost my third bar. No, I don't have anything exciting. Washington State is putting some time into fleet work, and so we sort of all know what Commerce has been doing on that side, and there's a bunch of money that they are getting ready to decide who it's going to. So there will be new both DC fast charging and level 2 charging at cities throughout the state based on that, because that's $9 million. So there'll be a lot. I think the deadline was sometime in June, and then the deadline for the tribes was, I think, this month. So yeah, they should know by September where some of those potential chargings are going. I'm working more with Jim Jensen on the side that he's doing, WSU extension, and just doing some stuff for fleets, and there'll be a little bit on batteries, but it's nothing that you don't know already. I think it's more of letting the fleet people know why they're not, throwing cobalt into the garbage can, which people seem to be very afraid of putting rare earths back into the garbage stream, which, it sounds like we can't even get a used leaf, battery, so that's not even an issue. But yeah, it's just interesting. The people that are purchasing the fleets are super worried about something that we wish was a problem. We wish they were like a fleet of 20 cars available next week, to get that battery. So anyway, other than that, we do, the Recovery Act, the National Recovery Act, when it came out of the House, had $4.94 billion, and a lot of that was for green infrastructure. We just don't know what the other side, what the Senate side will do. If they only want to spend $2 billion and the other ones want to spend $4 billion, we may or may not see any green infrastructure. But there's a really great group, the LA Clean Tech Alliance is a really good lobbying group right now, and I think they're working with Plug in America and some other groups. So it's been good to see sort of those national collaborations. And of course, we voted on being a ZEV state last year, so I know Brett Rood and Department of Ecology are working on that rulemaking. I mean, the rulemaking will probably take a year to do, but we should have programs coming out of that, in the next 6 months, I think. That's pretty much all I know.
Thank you. I have not been able to follow the fleet grant projects, and have been curious if there's any requirements for ecology to make those installations available to the public. I pass Chatham chargers in Bremerton every day that are greatly unused, but behind barbed wire fence at Kitsap Transit. And when the blink, the one and only public blink is down, I look very enviously at the.
Yeah, well, it just depended on what cities had the sophistication to apply for the grant. So I know Snohomish County, I think a lot of times they were the same organizations that got the blink, and then they're filling in those holes or replacing those. But yeah, who it is was just who's already done an analysis in the past 3 years and who is ready to ask for something new. Because some of that, the Department of Ecology, was a requirement that it had to be on city-owned land, where most city halls now are leased land. So there was a lot of people who it wasn't appropriate for, but I think they'll begin releasing it. I don't know where they are on that decision making, but I can hunt around and ask some questions for next month and see if we hear of any of that. I think it sounds like some of the charging stations that will be coming online soon are the PSE ones, because their pilot was announced a year ago, and so they should be ready to install some of the they have 7 or 8 DC fast charging going in within the PSE electric, so all the way up to Bellingham, all the way down to Olympia. And David Lahr was asking about that today. So there will be DC fast charging, and then there will be workplace level 2 and public level 2 coming online hopefully the next year. It's all green law, so I would think those will come online before the ecology or the Department of Commerce. So,
Okay, thank you, Andrea. The thought was fleeting, and now it has fled. Anybody else?
Oh, you were going to say what you're going to do with that Seattle Foundation money.
Please repeat.
The Seattle Foundation grant?
Oh, yes. We received yet another $500 unsolicited grant through the Seattle Foundation and have not embarked on any specific project for it. And in all honesty, SEVA's sitting on too much money. We need to come up with something worthwhile to do with our unexpected largesse. We've had it for over a year and we just haven't had any big ideas come out. Onesie twosie charging station installation is pretty expensive as far as bang for the buck. So I just ask everybody to think of a good use for that resource.
Party until all this is over with. No. One of the original parties we had was gasless in Seattle. It was one of the things that started. I'd say when things get back to normal, let's all get together and press the flesh and tell stories. That's what was so fun about Green Lake.
It is fun, and I think I'm being presented with a blank credit card.
I saw that too.
Mine
or hers? My new battery.
Oh, Steve McGinnis has volunteered another donation.
I mean, I'm happy to put together a survey if people have an idea of different possible directions, because I think public outreach, Grace, you've talked about things before, things that we can do. I know that I've actually been working with the Alaska EV Association, and they're doing some virtual drive-in rides because, again, everyone's very worried. And there's a Florida group, and I'm happy to forward it on, that did a really great ride and drive. They've done one with a Bolt and one with a Tesla, and just people inside the car were asking questions about the car, and it came off pretty well. So it's pretty, anyway, so AK EV Association is kind of looking at that. So we're looking at creating materials that we would, offer at the same time as people are online watching this virtual ride and drive. Because public outreach for the next 2 or 3 years is going to be very different. So anyway, I'm happy to put together some sort of Survey Monkey questionnaire for people if I have some ideas on things that you'd like to. And so if you want to just post those or send those to Jay, it'd be good to have an idea on ideas. No sculptures.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Fulcher, turn on your mic, become live.
Well, hello, everybody.
There you go. Can you hear me? A couple of months ago, I got a new credit card. Didn't know why, and I found that it has this little symbol on the back.
Don't show people that. Don't show people that.
Don't show people that. That's not cool.
Don't show people your credit card.
Why not?
I now know your number.
Because that's the magic numbers on the back.
I'm looking at the little thing on the end there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the magic number.
That's truly not.
Well, you don't know the credit card number, so.
Well.
At any rate,
come on.
I notice all the chargers have this little symbol on it, which is no touch credit card. I've got a chip and that thing on it. So I went around to some of the chargers, like the ones at Fred Meyer, and that thing will activate it without having their special fob. And so I tried various ones. Some it works and some doesn't. So I know California is looking at, you have to have the same payment method for all the chargers, if I remember correctly. They're working that deal. And I was wondering, anybody know why all the different networks of chargers want to have their own payment gizmo? It's like gas stations used to be 40 years ago, where the Shell card only worked at the Shell station, and the BP one worked at BP, and now one credit card works everywhere. So I was wondering what it takes to get these charger outfits to pull their head out of their where and make it work on these cards. It recognizes, most of them recognize it, well, it's not authorized to work on this one. I say, well, you dummies, why don't you make that son of a bitch work? You want me to charge my card here? Make it work on this, okay? Any of you guys have any info on that kind of thing?
No, it's very disappointing, and I thought California had required a universal payment system years ago, but it never moved forward.
Well, of course they didn't do it here. And so if I was running a charge network, why wouldn't I want a universal charge card to work on it? instead of all these little fobs. I got about 5 of them in the car. And you got to put $30 on some. Other ones, they got all different classes where you get different rates depending on what class you're paying for and all that kind of ridiculous stuff. All I want to do is pull out and plug it in and swipe the card and charge the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can say originally it was because they were worried about encryption because RFIDs were more secure than a credit card. But now that Electrify America has cracked it, I think it's more of a cost issue. They have to put a more expensive board on there. But all of the big ones have it now, like EVBox has it, ChargePoint has it, you know, so they all pretty much have it. I don't know which ones don't, but I need to check my credit card. Maybe I can go around checking, but it would be good to see which networks you're finding doesn't work, and we can do that research. But I don't know.
For instance, the ones that, it's interesting, they recognize it, but then they tell you it won't work. I say, who the hell's running this place? You want me to charge the car, make the damn thing work, okay? And I personally don't use any chargers outside my garage because the car goes so far that I don't really need it. But it occurs to me that it's just like the plug. We have CHAdeMO and CCS and Tesla. You know, it's just like the VHS and
Beta.
And Beta, and what was the other one we had? Blu-ray and HD DVD. You know, why do we have to go through this kind of bullshit every time?
It is very frustrating, but nobody's figured out a way around it yet.
You got to get the government to require it, right? Well, I've got this, and if this doesn't work on their charger, I'm never going to charge on it. So that's, I'll let them know, okay?
Call them and tell them. I think Kent Bakke had some comments for us tonight. What's new with you, Kent? Very nice.
He is.
Can you hear me?
We do.
We can hear you now.
Well, the only thing I've been done for the last 4 months is to grow a beard. For those who don't recognize me, that's my sole accomplishment. Next month meeting, depending on how we meet, I may have a battery pack to show people. There's a company called GoBattery.com, battery with 1 T. They have an interesting module. Unfortunately, I ordered it in January and then COVID hit and then they went totally silent. I just found out they're going to supposedly ship it by the end of the month. It's a 48 volt, 100 amp hour module. I've ordered 2 of them. It's supposed to have an incorporated BMS, et cetera, et cetera. Could be interesting. We'll see. The other thing, I just got back from a road trip with my Model 3 Tesla from Idaho and was counting on one of the newest superchargers, the version 3 or whatever it is, with a 250 kW an hour charge capacity out near the Spokane airport. And I get near there and I'm needing the charge and I punch it in and it says it's unavailable. It's not functional. So I call up Tesla, wait 15, 20 minutes on the phone. They go, yep, that's right. It's not working. It's been down since July 1st and they have no idea when it's going to be fixed. And I run into this more and more with Tesla. So for those Tesla owners, before you travel anywhere, make sure you know what superchargers are actually working. I'm really disappointed with their customer service because my first Tesla was a 2013 and I've seen the quality of their customer support and supercharging system continue to decline, unfortunately. But I found a CHAdeMO from Plug whatever, one of those app things. And I had a CHAdeMO adapter, fortunately, with me for the Tesla 3, which has its own special one. And I got 39 kilowatts of charging. So that saved my derriere. And that's all I have for the news.
When you use the Tesla trip function that's on their site to plan a trip, and it tells you where the chargers are you got to go to and how long you got to be there, does it not also tell you whether they work or not?
Well,
it seems like it ought to. If it's gonna run you through them, they ought to be able to tell you whether the charger works.
Yeah, it usually does. It usually tells you.
Well, it must have its own indication because when I and I was passing through this place. Plus, I mean, it's really not too technologically hard to let know your customers, especially in Washington State, that you do have a charger out of operation. I went to one in Vancouver, BC several times last year, and the whole charging site wasn't down, but numerous charging of the stalls were down, and they were literally down for months. So anyway.
Sounds as bad as Blink.
Yeah, I've always tried to figure out how people are going to make money selling power. And I think the long-term answer is there's no profit in it. So the networks have to figure out how to generate profit to keep their gear running. And that doesn't sound like it's working all that well, even for some of the best funded systems.
What about us CCS guys that can't charge on the old chargers that have CHAdeMOs on them?
I'll testify that Blink has been about the most reliable network for the past year now.
Really?
They got their cash infusion from their IPO, and
the credit card works. So.
Yeah, and it's being maintained by a Portland General Electric retiree, Rick Durst. His wife rides herd on the electrical subcontractors, and she ensures prompt action when those stations go down.
Doesn't Jeremy take care of the ones around here?
No, Jeremy had the maintenance contract during the Blink bankruptcy phase and had a rather bad experience with the old Blink company, and so no longer interested in that business. I know he's stayed plenty busy installing the 500 juice boxes for PSE. I don't know how close to completion that is. And I'll also testify that we've had significant trouble finding a commercial licensed electrician to do small works. I've been trying for 6 weeks to get somebody to come install a few 1450 outlets at our shop here. They don't tell you they're too busy. They just tell you, I can't see you this week. Let's talk again next week.
Have you called Bird Electric since you're in Kitsap County?
Who?
Bird Electric.
Bird, no.
Do that. Say hello to my wife when you do.
BIRD?
BIRD at 779-2112. 36. Yep.
All right, I'll call him in the morning.
Okay, also, Jay, this is Ed. I'm back for a moment.
Thank you, Ed.
The folks who did a couple of 1450s for me over in Seattle and also put a panel in, or actually lit up a panel here in Bellevue, is As You Wish Electric. And I liked them. They did a pretty good job. I don't know their availability, but for me, they were not a problem.
Yeah. The commercial license seems to be a kicker. I've got two residential electrician companies literally in this same complex that say, no way, I won't touch that for cash or anything else.
Oh, so doing it in a commercial location is harder?
Right.
My brother-in-law lives in San Francisco. He's commercial.
Well, I might find a bargain airfare for him.
Yeah, if you could fly out of the state.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'd like to add a comment. To Rich, to your comment about, this financial sustainability charging system. I've wondered about that a lot, but the Model 3 doesn't get any free charging, so it's 40 cents a kilowatt hour. And I just did the rough math. If in my Tesla, the 90 it's be $28 for the Model 3 if it was filled up the whole 70 kilowatts. And that's not much different than gas.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not. So and I presume they can buy electricity cheaper than we can at 9, 10, or 13 cents a kilowatt hour. But at some point, if you have enough business, it's got to be profitable to them. But
right,
who knows?
I know that demand charges at rural locations are a real killer in the infrastructure cost. But yeah, I do not have a long range EV yet, and buying a Model 3 went way down on my list when I saw what the cost of long distance travel in it would be. That's the only reason for me to buy a big battery EV. You know,
Where is it 40 cents a kilowatt hour? Where is that?
That's the Tesla supercharger.
For Model 3.
I've never paid that much. It's usually 25 or 28 maybe. I've never seen 40.
It may have been less than 40, but I've never seen anything less than 30 cents in my experience.
Lee, it's different at the different speeds.
I drive thousands of miles in mine, and I've never seen it more than 28.
Yeah, it's 28 at most of them. Some are 31, the 150 kilowatts. But if the 250 kilowatts, I think it charge more for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not in my experience.
Right, Ken?
SEVA controversy. That's good.
Well, doesn't Tesla have solar on a lot of their chargers?
Not that I've seen.
They get the juice for free, don't they?
The panels
Not
are
in Washington, no.
Not in Washington. Is it still 40 cents down in Arizona? Nobody knows.
All right. Well, that's all the items that were on my list. We're at an hour 45 minutes now.
So Jay,
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
I just want to add one thing that Corey skipped over when he talked about his Rad mission. This is Charlie.
Who is this nice lady?
If you want to see a fun video of Corey on the Rad mission, go to the Rad Power Bikes website and look up the Rad mission on the product page and go down. They have an introductory video and you'll get to see Corey riding on the bike. It's pretty fun.
Oh, excellent. I would pay to see a recreation of Corey about to get rolled over by a car and simply vaulting off of his Rad Power bike and launching over said car. I've heard that's
That was scary.
He's a big guy. He bounces well.
No, he didn't bounce. He landed on his feet.
And took a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see that video.
Yeah.
You punks, you can move like we used to.
How many, 10 years?
I'd also pay to see any video of you moving like that, Rich.
Oh, I could probably find video of me someplace doing something crazy.
Okay, well, I think we have veered off of the sacred SEVA path.
Hey, Jay, I didn't get my turn yet, so I just thought I'd ask if that was
Please,
okay.
Grace.
Okay.
Well, congratulations on your retirement.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I was going to finish with, but
Oh,
thank
I'm sorry. I imagine the price of Tesla stock had a lot to do with it.
Well, it was kind of a very fortunate circumstance that I retired on Friday, and on Monday, I was then eligible to sell stock because employees can't sell stock during the blackout period before the earnings are announced. So I had an advantage there. But I did want to say that we did have fun on Father's Day doing the car cruise. There's usually a great big car show in Burien. It's been going on for many years, but they couldn't do it this year. So they decided to do a cruise, kind of like the Greenwood one, except for this went through a lot of residential neighborhoods. And they put out the word on local social media and posters and stuff, and people went out and sat on their front lawns and they waved to us from balconies. It was about 150 classic cars involved. But we ended up being the first car in line behind the chase car and our brand new Model Y, which we just got 2 days earlier. And so that was pretty fun to be able to, turn on the flashing lights and play the music really loud and the 14 speaker stereo system and kind of announce that, yes, the parade is happening. And, and during the coronavirus thing where people can't really get together, I'm thinking this might be a really good idea, and that maybe we could think about doing some cruises in various communities. Instead of having a place to show and tell where people come by and see us, what if we were to have just an all-electric cruise where you just go through neighborhoods and announce ahead of time, say, hey, people come out and see the cool conversions, the classics, the new stuff, see what's all electric.
And
So
no noise.
might be a way for us to do some outreach.
And no noise.
And no noise. Play the music really loud instead.
Oh, wait a minute. I can show up with the smoking tires, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was really glad to be first in line, because I did not want to be stuck behind those classic cars belching out all the smoke and being so loud and stuff. So
You know, of course,
like
I won't
that,
be.
it's not my thing.
I wouldn't be burning fuel to burn the tires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's something we might could negotiate into a cruise. There is a Friday evening cruise that's in like, oh, I forget week. This will probably be the third week of it on Bainbridge. And it's exactly as Grace describes, a nice slow cruise through the residential neighborhoods, friendly hand waving, distancing. And that's more appealing to me than a long distance highway cruise.
Hey, Jay, for years, Thursday evening, there's a little kind of hot rod show up in Port Gamble.
Yep.
And of course, if you're up there, you can either use my charging gear. I don't think there's any public charging up at Gamble, but obviously there's a 1772 out front, down in front of my shop.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you're in Kitsap, because I know he works on Bainbridge and I'm up here in Kingston, you can cruise up here without the use of a ferry. It's very important.
We're showing off our vans at these shows, and once we've cruised a few weekends on Bainbridge, time to broaden the horizons.
Cool. I need to get down and see your shop.
We'd like that. Might not even make you sign an NDA.
Well, more like there's a lot of things I'm going to go, hey, let's make this happen.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We had a peak of, I forget, didn't we get up to like 24 participants at one point?
Yeah, I was doing the grid here going, we're at 20 something.
All right.
I'm sitting at,
well, I don't see any raised hands. Any last comments?
Yeah, EV West does good work. I'll say from experience.
EV West, you say?
EV Works.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. But Jay, just explain to me what the difference is between Pac West V and EV Works.
My boss, a serial entrepreneur, likes his branding and his legal entities. So we have Pacific Mobility Group, which is the umbrella company over Pac Westy Works, which repairs classic Volkswagens, Pac Westy Adventures, which rents Volkswagen camper vans, Mobility Mobility for All. We sponsor a nonprofit that's working on low-income car share. And by the way, if anybody has a tired leaf, we're working with a nonprofit senior taxi service on Lopez Island that would like to put a second leaf into service. They've had great success doing senior doctor trips, that sort of thing, because there is no public transit up there. Like over 15,000 trips a year on their one leaf.
Ouch.
And we'd upgrade the battery for them. And so anyway, we have a number of entities, but EV Works is the electric vehicle shop, and we had the privilege of replacing Billy's sticky inlet.
Oh, very good.
A week ago, and
doesn't stick anymore.
sticky since new. The molding, the casting of the plastic was noticeably thicker on the sidewall of that unit than the new one that replaced it. And we tried it with multiple J1772 handles, and they all insert nicely. Yeah.
One more time, the GM stiffed me for warranty work, and so EV Works got the job instead. Next car is going to be a Tesla. I should have learned my lesson.
I can also report that GM made a design improvement on the second generation Volt. We've replaced first generation Volt's inlets because of water intrusion and corroded pins on the connector. They've just got a little pigtail behind the J1772 inlet, with a bell-shaped female housing that actually faces up right towards the bottom of the windshield, where it will receive a torrent when a sponge rubber seal fails or gets pulled out. And the second generation has a better connector and better sealing.
Well, next time I'll buy a Tesla before Grace retires.
I never heard of Grace handing out any special discounts, or did I miss out?
Well, actually, I can now give you my referral code, and you get 1,000 miles of free supercharging. So yes,
Okay.
Ken, there is free supercharging for Model 3.
Is there also a used Model 3 coming on offer in the near future?
No, we now have 2 Teslas. Yes. The Leaf is going to my sister. One sister already has a Fiat 500e. The other sister is now going all electric too. So I'm excited about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. No more official business. I do need to begin my 75-mile return trip.
Ouch. Ouch. That's a lot of kilowatts. You take the ferry or you go up through Paulsbo?
I go through Paulsbo and across the bridge, so the toll is the most expensive part of my commute by far.
Aha.
Even scrounge a majority of my electrons off the boss instead of my home solar.
Isn't this great that you're the one that's heading off to get home instead of me blasting out for the ferry about the time the conversations start winding down?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks
Irony of ironies.
Rich. Thanks to everybody. And I've got a few items to follow up on, in particular, a new insurance policy. Thanks for the lead.
Okay. Whoever jetted out the text to join this Zoom, thank you very much. I would have completely blown it off if I didn't see it yesterday morning. And I'm glad I finally made the effort to talk to the club. It's been months since I've seen all your faces.
Well, that is Ed, who has been hosting all of these since April. And although he's not on the meeting tonight, although he has a panel logged in and he's not there.
Ed's been popping in and out, but yes, he's been so kind to host for us. And he'd said he did agree to do our meetings for the rest of the year by Zoom if we need to. Right now, it's not looking very promising. Looks like that we're going to stay in phase 2 for the foreseeable future, which means limited to 5 people who are unrelated at any gathering. So I don't think we're going to be able to get together in August as well. Let's cross our fingers that we can do something for Drive Electric Week in September. Some kind of gathering, but if not, then maybe we'll look at doing some virtual gatherings or cruises or something like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. Adios, folks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Jay.
Hey, Ryan. Folger.
Yes, sir.
And Grace,
you guys,
can you send me a link for wherever this file is going? So both Ryan and I need to download it from you.
Yes, I will attempt to do so. I'm not sure exactly where to find the link once I'm done with the recording. But
it should get saved in Google Drive.
It's kind of obscure, and it takes something like an hour for it to convert to an MP4.
Right.
And then send out. So the computer just has to stay on till probably at least 9:30.
Oh, okay. But it'll tell me what the link is once it's done converting.
I think you will know where the file is.
Oh, okay.
The last time I did this was 1 month ago, and I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I should be able to post it to a Google Drive and then share the link with you. Yeah.
Yeah, Google Drive would be fine.
Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Good. Sounds like a plan.
Right. You got a camera, Ryan?
I do. I'm just kind of lurking though, because I'm working.
There you. Oh, you're still at work.
Yeah.
Oh, I keep forgetting you work a weird shift.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I noticed Kent's still sticking here. You got something to say, Kent?
Nothing new. Nothing. I'm interested in seeing what anyone else has to say.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Who's doing what? Are you doing anything interesting, Ryan? Ouch.
I got some BMW modules or something. I don't know. They're like 48 volt, 12 cell in series. I got a pair of them, put them on my Ryobi 48 volt lawnmower. It comes with it's the old one that has a lead acid battery that only does half the front yard. And I already built a battery out of the Honda Insight nickel metal hydride module sticks. I got 12, 2, 3, 4, 8 sticks.
Those things
48
last
volts.
forever, don't they?
Yeah, and that does twice as good as the lead does, even though they're shot. They're old and worn out. They're no good in a car anymore. But this new lithium one is awesome. I had to mow the lawn twice, and it was still going. The whole thing twice, and it was still going. And so, yeah, I'm pleased with that. About double again or more. The other nickel's capacity.
Yeah, I've got
five times the lead or whatever, but that's about it.
Right. I still got my hybrid Ford is still running along, and well, it's a 2006 vintage. I never expected that pack to stick around for very long.
The plug-in hybrid.
No, I never made that plug-in.
No.
Never. My wife basically said, "Don't touch," and that was it.
Oh, so you're just talking about just your hybrid, or are you talking about your rock crawler?
Oh, that's not a hybrid. That's full electric. I blew the brushes off of it coming over to the shop. I hadn't charged it since last September. It's full of leaf modules. So finally, it's like, hey, it's midsummer. Get it over to the shop, top it off, let all the cells do their equalization. And so when I closed the breaker, the main pack was still there, but I barely had any 12. And I've got 100 amp hour Thunder Skies for the 12 volt.
Yeah.
And so it ran for over an hour at full current through a 75 amp DC to DC before the 12 came up. And I was starting to have some hot wire smell. Something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so we had to move it out of the breeze port because we're doing some remodeling on the house. So I drove it out of the front yard, drove it over here, and the sickly sweet smell kept getting worse. And so I let it cool down. Cops stopped by to help me. A couple other people stopped by. So I get it to the shop, and I've got the hood open, and I'm going, where is that? And this little curl of smoke comes up out of the, remember I had the leaf blower in it for cooling the motor? Ryan? Oh, okay, you're talking. I'm assuming you can hear me, Ryan, but you don't want to.
I'm good.
Okay, and
I'm here, Rich.
Okay. So,
no, it's still not working.
So I pulled the leaf blower off, and I can see at least one set of brushes only has a couple fingers of copper still sticking. So somehow I melted the brush leaf out of the 8-inch motor.
That's okay. You got spares though, right?
Pardon?
You got spares though, right?
Well, I've got a 9-inch. Let's upgrade here a bit. And
yeah, so, that might be better, easier option.
Right. Well, once you do that, we got to upgrade the 9, and we got to get a new sticky clutch disc. I'm not sure I want to drop $1,000 on high performance clutches, but this motor is going to easily make 500 foot-pounds of torque.
You just get some more new brushes and call it a day.
Give what?
Get some new brushes and call it a day.
Well, I'm going to put an 8-inch or 9-inch in. I'm going to up the 9-inch, and I was really thinking about if I could manage to find some Hellwaves or somebody who has the really stupid, huge, big brushes. So apparently Kent logged off. No, he had to go something to eat. So that's
it's probably time to go. So this meeting is getting posted as a meeting. It's official business. So.
Oh, so we got to knock it off, guys?
I don't know. Do you have? You could invite me to your Zoom, and we can have a personal Zoom. That'd be cool.
I don't have a Zoom.
I'm going to conclude the recording now, so you can continue to talk if you want, but the recording's done for the evening.
All right.
This is Ed. You guys can yabber as long as you want. I'll close the meeting down when